What is up, everybody? This is Anthony with VR365. Welcome to another episode of our show. We're up to episode 61 now. It is Sunday, and we call it Sunday Fun Day. This is a Sunday Fun Day live stream. This is the after party. Of course, if you joined us for our VR Roundtable episode, we finally came back after the holiday break. I thought we had a pretty good episode. I thought we touched on a lot of interesting topics. We kind of looked ahead to stuff that's going to happen in 2019, kind of what we're looking forward to. And we covered a lot of different things. I thought it was pretty cool. Unfortunately, for this here show, I really don't have much planned. So I thought I would talk about raw data all day. Nah, just kidding. Actually, that thumbnail with the raw data robot guy, I made that while I was doing the episode of VR Roundtable. I just needed some kind of thumbnail. Normally what I try to do is I'll try to grab a screenshot of a game that I might be talking about on the episode, so I'll try to, like, if I find a trailer for some new game, then I might grab the screenshot of that new game and then, put the logo in the corner and put my face on there somewhere, do something like that. But today I had nothing and I couldn't figure out what to do. And I was looking through, I have this one folder where it's just filled with pictures of different VR games. And I saw this raw data picture with that robot, and I thought, oh, that would be kind of cool. And so I took the robot, made it transparent behind him, and then just put him on this green background and threw myself on there. And so that's kind of what I did. But I don't have plans to talk about raw data. This is not the raw data episode. But anyway, yeah, I don't really have plans for anything, guys. So we're going to go ahead and we could take a look at some of the subreddits. We can take a look and see if there's any kind of news going on. There is one story that I did want to get into, and actually Fluke mentioned this briefly on the VR Roundtable episode in chat, and it was this one guy, he's a venture capitalist, and he said that VR is going to be 1,000 times bigger than AR, and he's kind of a contrarian in that regard. And that really was the only story that I had. That was like the only, and I don't even have that like set up, but I did see that and I thought that was kind of interesting. So we could definitely touch on that really quick. Okay, so here's what we can do. Why don't we go to our, oh yeah, mailbag. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Person, mailbag. Yeah, okay, so that's something we could do. We could go to the mailbag. So let me switch over here to our webby browser window right here. And let's see, I don't have anything set up right now. So hold on, let me go ahead and let's do some mailbag, baby. So let me go ahead and get over to YouTube. Get onto, okay, well, here's VR365 right here. Yeah, VR is dead again. Look at this pissed off guy right here. That's so hilarious, too, because this was such a non-story, kind of, in my opinion. This whole VR is dead, and then finally seeing that guy's video, and I just didn't think it was that big of a deal. Okay, so anyway, we can go over here to our very last episode. Actually, a lot of views. So I guess if you have a controversial title, you get a lot of views. Gee, is that how it works? Maybe that's why that happened in the first damn place. Maybe it's all about controversy. Have a controversial title, and then you'll get a lot of love in that regards. Okay, so here we are. I am on the web browser window here, and we are looking at comments from yesterday's episode. This is Paolo Triani. And he says, imagine having no VR headset. What a poor world that would be. I say motion sickness is the biggest killer of VR. I have 3 friends that don't ever play VR anymore because from day one they were so sick. As I say, there are only 2 haters in the VR world, the motion sickness people and the ones that don't even know how good it is because they don't own one or a good one. VR master race. That is actually a very good topic right there. That's a good idea. It's a good theory right here in terms of the motion sickness, because that is a factor. I've seen this happen before where you get somebody. In fact, I had a good friend of mine that I put him into VR, and I put him into Doom VFR as his first, no, not Doom VFR. It was Doom 3 BFG. So I put him into Doom 3 BFG, and that's probably not the first thing you want to put somebody into if they're a brand new noob. And he played a little bit of it, and he got really bad motion sickness, and he never wants to play VR again. And like every time I bring VR up to him, like anytime I even mention VR, he's like, yeah, I can't do that. I get motion sick. And there's a lot of people out there that are like that, and they just completely write it off. And there's people, they'll try VR, they might get just a wee bit, you know, just a little bit dizzy, a slight tinge of dizziness, and they write the whole VR thing off, and they just completely write it off. And that is a bad idea. We've got to be very careful about the first thing that we put people into. We've got to be mindful of that. A lot of us are straight up veterans in VR. We've got our sea legs. We've been in there. We've experienced it. We've done it. And so sometimes someone will come over and we want to throw them in a super powerful experience where it's free locomotion and you're moving super fast through the levels. Not a good idea. We've got to be smarter about this and what we put people in. Pretty Fly for a VR guy says, you're in the damn game. You're in the damn game. Yes, I don't know how many times I could beat on that point, but that's the killer app for me. I mean, you're in the frickin' game. Okay, Talaman Sand says 5 feet? Nah, minimum area depends on your size. Stretch your arms out and turn around in a circle. There's your minimum size play area that needs to be free of obstacles right there. Well, you know what? I mean, hey, if I stretch my arms out and I move around, it's damn near 5 feet. Like, that's pretty much 5 feet. So I think 5 feet is kind of the minimum. Let's see. Derivative Films says, killer app is very objective, and it depends on what you want in a game. I'd say Beat Saber is pretty killer app, but it's not a big triple 40-hour open world shitfest. To me, the experience alone is the killer app. The killer app is not having to deal with the AAA business practices, no season passes, no DLC, no microtransactions, no loot boxes. You know, that's a really good point right there. Think about it. We don't have a lot of the garbage that flat gamers have to deal with. Everything is microtransactions. Everything is games as a service, signing into all the, oh man, all that stuff would just drive me bonkers. I hated that stuff. And actually going over to VR, yeah, we don't have a lot of that. That is pretty awesome. That's a good point there. Definitely great point. Area Rasti says, of course VR is dead. We still have no good VR headset with full FOV and good quality. Look at your channels. They don't even make it to 1K view. Ah, man, you didn't have to go down that road. We need a better public headset with really human FOV. Okay, don't be blaming VR is dead for my lackluster numbers. There's other people out there that get great views. I just am kind of an undiscovered treasure in VR, you might say. I'm the best kept secret. So don't blame VR for my poor numbers. Numbers will improve. Cosmonaut 102 says, not dead at all. I'm sure as I hear the numbers are climbing. I am, however, done with the cables and stutters. I'm putting VR on hold until I get a completely wireless headset with good tracking, and I'm not getting Lighthouse tracking because I'm tired of setting and resetting stuff up. I'm waiting for Oculus Quest or until Oculus Go makes its way into my budget. I'm open to any other suggestions for wireless stuff. Yeah, you know, Cosmonaut 102, some of the points that you bring up are legit as well, like the wires, the stuttering. You know, one of the things that I mentioned when I talk about Pixel Ripped 1989 and why Pixel Ripped 1989 is one of my favorite VR games. is because I go into a lot of VR games, and I know you guys have experienced this myself, but I go into a lot of these VR games where you're playing the game and everything is good, and then all of a sudden, like, one of your eyes is like tripping out, and then you got the hourglass symbol, and you know, there's jank. There's a lot of jank, or sometimes like it's loading something, you go to like a black screen, or there's some kind of weirdness. And one of the reasons I'm so into Pixel Ripped 1989 is because it's so smooth. Like, it just works great. Like, everything happens. You don't have that jank. But yeah, I kind of agree with you, Cosmonaut 102, in regards to the cables, the stuttering, all the extra little nonsense that we have to deal with. That is the friction. And a completely wireless headset with good tracking, that could be the key. So yes, I would look forward to Oculus Quest if I were you. And Oculus Quest is not that far away, man. We're booking through the month of January already. We're up to January 6th. Oculus Quest is likely to be available on April 30th. It's not that far away. So that is a good opportunity there. Okay, now I'm getting to a comment from Petter Os. Petter Os. Pet her os. Okay, no, we shouldn't say that. I beg to differ. I'd regard Astrobot as a killer app, quality-wise. It awarded the Game of the Year across all platforms. The perfect platforming game for VR gaming. People would have considered it a killer app if PSVR was widespread and the game was bought by 90% of the 80 million PS4 gamers, basically. Yeah, you know, I agree, man. I mean, Astrobot was my number 2, and it was really close for me considering Windlands and considering Astrobot. Honestly, I think one of the reasons I picked Windlands 2 over Astrobot is because Astrobot, you are sitting down, you're using a regular controller, you know, your boots are not on the ground, you're not really completely surrounded in the world. Yeah, you're kind of surrounded in the world. You have your shadow, you're kind of a little robot that is basically helping this other little robot along, you know, and so you kind of have that thing there. But it's not that true VR thing, and I think that's kind of why I gave it to Windlands 2. But I understand what you're talking about. Astrobot is pretty damn close to a killer app. But my theory has always been, if you have to ask what the killer app is, you don't have a killer app. Back in the days of Doom, we didn't have to ask what a killer app was. Doom. That was the killer app. Like, no one was asking the question in 1993, what is the killer app? The killer app is Doom. You know, that was it. You know, there was no question there. Let's see. Airman929565 says, what it comes down to is VR has good things and bad things. I think most people who try it believe there are more good than bad. It is only going to improve. Just give it time. That's an actual, very reasonable opinion. A very down-to-earth kind of opinion there, and I agree with it completely. Scion says VR is so niche that if we had a killer app, people who have barely touched VR or who are pancake gamers would still be asking if VR has a killer app. Okay, interesting question. Pure as Ever says, with the obesity subject, of course Anthony is trolling. Kinda. I'm kinda trolling. You know, I really believe that people are gonna move around in the world of AR. When AR is a real thing, people are gonna move around more. They're gonna be walking around more. You know how everybody has these little Fitbit things that like count how many steps they're taking and everything? The point that I'm trying to make is when we really get to this AR future, people are going to be taking a hell of a lot more steps. Now, does that mean their diet is going to change? Not necessarily. But I believe that as you become, like, it just changes everything. Like, if you start getting much more physically active, it changes everything. Okay, and we're going to continue to go down. Okay, Jay Pay says, I lost my wedding ring at the beach, playing in the sand also. I'm on a wedding ring number 2 now. Yeah, everybody loses their wedding ring at the beach. It's a very common thing there. We're going to keep going down here. Reckoner VR, Gary commented on my video. That's cool. He says, LOL, I wasn't outraged by the supposed VR is dead video either. It's not a VR is dead video at all. Yeah, it was one of these things where there seemed to be such an outrage over that video that I think I went into that video expecting to really be outraged and pissed off and really hate this Linus guy. But it wasn't like, I think my expectations kind of shaped that a little bit, and I wasn't like that outraged at all. So I was kind of like, really? This is what everybody's complaining about? Zaylin Maru, how about them Cowboys, Anthony? Oh, man, yeah. It seems every time I mention this in our Discord server last night when the Cowboys scored that late touchdown and it really, they were up by 10 points. I mentioned that every time I've worn like a Seahawks t-shirt and was like rooting for the Seahawks because they were playing that day, they've lost. They've lost every time I've done that. I'm never wearing my Seahawks t-shirt on this show again on an actual game day. That is a bad idea. So yeah, lots of comments that are on this particular episode here. Okay, let me go back. Let's take a look at another previous episode. I could look at some Big Breezy Boat comments, or let's go to this previous episode here. Let's see what kind of comments we got over here. I Am Ruts has a comment. Okay, the elephant in the room needs to be addressed. 61% drop in sales in 2018 HTC. The company is toxic, and I just don't see why there are so many fanboys who will not see it. If I owned a Vive, I would be nervous about the future of HTC and what that means for the headset. Well, the 61% drop is really much more related to their phone issues. And yeah, HTC is not a healthy company. We don't really like HTC, but it's the only game in town if you're all about that Steam VR, if you're all about the Lighthouse's tracking, if you want that truly, truly, truly legitimate room scale, and if you plan on upgrading to Knuckles and all of that, HTC is kind of where it's at. It's an unfortunate truth, it's an inconvenient truth or whatever you call it. We have to deal with HTC. And I believe next week at the Consumer Electronics Show, we might get another HTC announcement. I don't think we're done with HTC, everybody. As unfortunate as it might be, I do not think we're done with HTC. Bill B says, hey, Anthony, could you perhaps do a show on underrated games? Over the holidays, I worked to get my family into VR. My 20-year-old son loved it. Favorite game, Talos Principle. Hold on, guys. I got to clear my throat real quick, so I'm going to mute my mic real quick. Okay, cool. Had to do that. I need a sip of water as well. But yeah, Bill B is saying, why don't I do a show on underrated games? That's actually a good idea. It's definitely something that, like, for example, like a day like today when I don't have anything to talk about, I could do a show about underrated games. I should do that. I Am Rhett says, Anthony, you need an Xbox One S controller with wireless dongle. It would drive me crazy to be tethered to my computer in 2019 by a controller. Well, see, I have a USB controller for my Xbox, and then I have a USB extension on it. And so the wire comes out pretty far. And when you're playing a game like Subnautica or like Doom 3 BFG, or, well, no, I'm trying to think of games where you're using an Xbox 360 controller. Subnautica is definitely one of them. But if you're playing a game where you're standing up and you're using an Xbox 360 controller, your feet are pretty much in concrete shoes. You're rooted to the ground pretty much. So I don't worry about that cable so much. It would be nice to have a wireless one, but yeah, I don't have that. And Fluke says, regarding Wipeout, you weren't putting words in my mouth at all. Certainly my favorite game of the year on PSVR and my favorite racing game in VR, full stop. Okay, yeah, so that is some of the chat there. Some of the comments that have been left. Now, I got to imagine, person, did you leave a comment on a particular episode that you wanted me to read? Because I didn't see a person comment that I actually commented on, so I kind of feel sorry about that. But anyway, let's go ahead and go back. Why don't we bounce over to Road to VR? So this is Road to VR. Let me give a fresh refresh here, and let's see what's going on. Let's do a fresh refresh. Okay, so Vuzix will ship $1,000 consumer blade AR smart glasses in February. So this is some actual news here. This is by VentureBeat. So this AR headset blade, $1,000, really? Yeah, I don't know. So that is following last year's release of an enterprise version of Blade, a pair of augmented reality smart glasses that resemble traditional sunglasses. Vuzix confirmed dates and pricing for its consumer model. You know, I don't really remember Vuzix exactly. Like, I'm struggling to remember it. It kind of looks like the Intel Vaunt a little bit, but I kind of forget what that was all about. I need to see like a video on it. Don't even remember so much. And then, you know, a lot of these stories, just not much going on here with these stories. Let's go ahead and bounce over to Road to VR. And I'll go ahead and give a fresh refresh on this one as soon as this loads up a little bit here. Doesn't look like we have anything much going on in Road to VR right now. Steam VR 2018 ends with a record number of VR headsets. We've already kind of known about that. I already covered this USB-C VR extension. So yeah, nothing much popping off over there, although I still haven't been able to refresh this. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and bounce over to the subreddits? We could definitely do that. And let's see. This is the Vive subreddit. So yeah, this was yesterday when we were talking about the big thing there with that video. Okay, so let's see what some people... Oh, this was a subject that I did want to talk about, actually. Okay, and this was something that Fluke brought up in the VR Roundtable episode earlier today. In chat, he mentioned this. Marc Andreessen, he claims that audio will be titanically important and that VR will be 1,000 times bigger than AR. And Fluke definitely wanted to mention this and wanted to talk about this because I've always said that I believe AR is going to kill everything and that VR is going to basically be the equivalent of home theater. And a lot of people get pissed off at that because they kind of think, oh, Anthony's actually anti-VR. Anthony really believes in AR and he's anti-VR. That's not the case at all. And I'm talking 25 years-ish into the future. VR is going to be bigger than AR for a while. It's going to take a while before AR actually gets to a point where it's going to be truly viable. But once AR becomes truly viable, I think AR will race past VR, and VR will be the equivalent of your Saturday night Blu-ray movie watching thing on your nice big 70-inch 4K LED TV. That is what VR is going to replace. Like, if you, like, for example, this room here, this is a home theater room. And it was designed as like a home theater room. It used to be a 3-car garage. I turned it into a home theater room. Got a huge 128-inch screen over there. Had a projector in here. And my family, on like Friday nights and Saturday nights, I would rent whatever the biggest Blu-ray movie release was. And we would be in here watching a big, brand new Blu-ray movie. And it was kind of movie night. And it was like Friday night and Saturday night. And, you know, I would come in here and this would be the movie night. And that's what VR is going to be, in my opinion. Like 20 years from now, VR is going to be when you really, really want to be fully immersed into a world. That is what VR is going to be. But AR, we're going to be using all day long. And there will be tons of games in AR that will be compelling as F. A lot of people out there believe like, oh, VR is for gaming. AR is for everything else. That is a short-sighted opinion, but let's see what Marc Andreessen is talking about here. Let's go ahead and click on this. So here's this dude, Marc Andreessen. He's like a venture capitalist guy. He was actually one of the original investors in Oculus. This guy's got money rolling out of every orifice. I mean, this guy has pocket change. His pocket change could buy me that Ferrari 458 Spider I've always been dreaming about. Okay, so let's see what this guy's talking about here. The venture firm's founders, Marc Andreessen and Ben Horowitz, there's a lot to enjoy from Andreessen's TV show recommendations to Horowitz's secret to excellent barbecue, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's get down here. Okay, so Marc Andreessen is talking about audio, and this is actually very interesting. I like this. This is very interesting. Okay, one of the things he's talking about here with audio. The really big one right now is audio. Audio is on the rise just generally, and particularly with Apple and the AirPods, which has been an absolute home run for Apple. It's one of the most deceptive things because it's just like this little product. And how important could it be? And I think it's tremendously important because it's basically a voice in your ear anytime you want. For example, there are these new YouTube type celebrities. And everybody's kind of wondering where people are finding the spare time to watch these crazy ass YouTubers and to listen to these guys in the tens and tens of millions. And the answer is they're at work. Yeah, a lot of you guys are at work and you'll listen to my show almost like a podcast. So yeah, a lot of people do this. They're at work. They have this Bluetooth thing in their ear and they've got a hat, and that's 10 hours on a forklift, and that's 10 hours of Joe Rogan, or it's 10 hours of VR365. That's a big deal. Of course, speech as a user interface is rapidly on the rise. So I think audio is going to be titanically important. And you know, one of the things I'll comment on here real quick about audio, do you guys remember Bose? Bose had this idea of augmented audio. And this is a great idea. Imagine, like, forget about anything augmented video. You know, we always think, when we think of AR, we think of video. We think of walking outside and you're walking to a shopping mall or something. And there's people walking around and little things are going to pop over people's heads. Like, oh, here's somebody you remember. Here's their name. Here's where they work. Or you're like at a work party and you're wearing these AI goggles and it has everybody's name and you know what their title is. Everybody imagines that with AR. But what if we just did AR audio? What if it was audio only and you just have a little voice in your head that says, oh, the laundry mat is 100 yards directly straight? Or, you know, so you could have AR audio that would be guiding you along. It's like having a little voice in your head. We've all seen the commercials and stuff where you have a little devil on your shoulder and a little angel on your shoulder and they're like talking to you. And AR audio could be like that, like augmented reality audio. We could have voices that are talking to us, giving us all kinds of information, and we don't even have to worry about screens or anything at all. That is completely separate. So we could actually have an AR audio future way sooner than we could ever have like the visual AR future, because it's so much more complicated. Now, the problem is we still need deep learning like a mofo. There still needs to be cameras everywhere because you still need to analyze everything so that the audio knows what to talk about. But in terms of the visuals, yeah, I think audio could be really important. So that is an interesting topic there from Marc Andreessen in terms of audio being titanically important. Okay, let's get to the VR being 1,000 times bigger than AR. Let's get to that part. Now, he talks about sensors and he talks about wearables and he talks about how we're going to have all these medical grade sensors. Basically, I do envision this. I can see a future where everybody is going to have like little chips that are implanted inside them that are constantly going to be tracking your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your cholesterol levels, your triglyceride levels, like everything, man. It's going to be tracking all kinds of things. And then all this information is going to be wirelessly uploaded to the cloud, where machine learning and neural networks is going to analyze all this information. And because it's going to have 7 billion people that it's going to be tracking with all this information, they'll be able to look back at past information and say, oh, this person had a heart attack. Let's look back at their data of all this data 1 month before this guy had a heart attack. And then they're going to be able to, yeah, Dr. Anthony, Conrad Lawrence says, well, this is what this guy's talking about right here on sensors. This is going to happen. Like, this is like the far-flung future. People are going to be living to like 130 and stuff when we have all of this. It's going to create a bit of a thinning the herd kind of a problem. We're going to have too many humans walking around. But yeah, I do agree with all these sensor things. Doesn't really have anything to do with VR, so we can go ahead and move past that. Okay, on the future of AR and VR. I think optics are coming. It's going to be a long road, but I think AR and VR are going to work, and that we're going to have heads-up displays that are going to remove the need for what we have now, which is this little pane of glass that we're expected to experience the whole world through. The whole world is going to open up around us, which, that's basically AR. I think AR has tons of potential applications both at work and at home, but VR is going to be 1,000 times bigger. In the Valley right now, he's talking about the Silicon Valley, this is a very contrarian view. The general theme that you hear is that AR will be bigger than VR, and obviously it should be. Okay, now this guy's talking out of both sides of his mouth. If you can do things overlaid over the real world, that should be inherently more interesting than having to construct a synthetic world. Okay, but here's where he makes his point about VR. I just think that's only true for people who live in a really interesting place in the world, but only something like 0.1% and 1% of people on Earth live in a place where they wake up every morning and think, wow, there's so many interesting things to see. So for everyone who doesn't already live on a college campus or in Silicon Valley or in a major city, the new environments that we're going to be able to create in VR will be inherently much more interesting, and there will be a lot more of them. So basically what he's saying here is that if you live in Africa or India and your floor is not carpet, it's not tile, it's freaking dirt. Like if you're in that kind of situation, yeah, VR is going to be a bigger deal because you could just convert your entire world, and you could be on dirt, but you see this magnificent palace and you're seeing all these beautiful things. And I don't know, it's an interesting little concept that he's going with here. Like that's why he thinks VR is going to be bigger, and that, like, maybe I can kind of agree with that, but that's more of like a 50-year out kind of thing. That's a 50-year out kind of thing where people, we've seen the classic picture, and I don't know what it's called, but it's this guy, he's like shriveled up in a corner. He's living in absolute filth, and he has a VR headset, like he's curled up. You guys know the picture I'm talking about. I do a Google image search for it, but I don't know what it's actually called. But this guy's like curled up in the corner. It's all dirty and nasty, but he's in this magical VR world and just doesn't care. And basically the VR goggles are plugged into a power outlet, and that's it. You're just in this other world. And I kind of get this. It's kind of a dystopian kind of a viewpoint, but that's more like 50 years off into the future. So anyway, that is one little topic that we did have on this show today for that. That's one little topic that we do have. Okay, so why don't I go over here and check out chat, and let's see what people are talking about over here in chat. Minister James Bergen says, I won't have any can I talk? Okay. Minister James Bergen says, I won't have any chips implanted in me, Anthony, ever. Don't ever say ever, man. Don't ever say ever. Because think about it, they could put some chip right into your cerebral cortex and just blast the matrix right into you. Don't ever say ever, man. You never know. You might transfer your consciousness into some kind of robot 20 years from now. Who knows what could possibly happen? Greg's VR says, all of that ain't coming for another 40 years, so you guys might as well forget about all that. Greg's VR says, I just want 180 degree FOV and 4K resolution. That's all he asks. Okay, Crunchy says, I have an app called Zombies Run, and it is fun to run while listening to it because it has great voice actors that provide an immersive story about the world being overrun by zombies, and they chase you. That's kind of the idea there with that audio, an audio AR, having some type of audio AR. We've said this before. I want Anthony to write Black Mirror episodes. Speaking of Black Mirror episodes, did everybody see Bandersnatch? I've seen it, and I've gone through it. Did everybody choose like Fruit Loops or Fruity Pebbles? Or did you guys choose to, well, I don't want to do spoilers. I don't want to do too many spoilers, but did everybody see Bandersnatch? I saw it. It seemed like it would be a lot cooler than it really was. Like, it was still pretty good. I liked it. It was interesting. It was definitely something to get you thinking, but I wasn't blown away by Bandersnatch. But no, I don't think, I mean, I would love to like work with the Black Mirror people and help their episodes maybe be a little bit better, but I don't know that I could actually write the episodes. I really wish. That would be awesome. Person says, when this show is over, I have to figure out what VR game to play. Yeah, we all have to figure that out. Greg's VR says AR will always be decades behind VR due to the AR need for a transparent display tech. Okay, and Charles Van Nolan says Bandersnatch totally tripped me out. Conrad Lawrence says no Bandersnatch yet, no spoilers please. Yeah, so we have a smart TV, right? We have a smart Sony TV that has YouTube, like it has all these different apps on it, like YouTube and Amazon Prime and all that stuff, Netflix and everything. And so we were on Netflix and I was trying to watch Bandersnatch, but it said that we needed a different kind of device to do it. So I had to go get my son's Xbox out of his room, bring it out to our front room, hook it all up, and then I was able to do Bandersnatch. And it's really cool when you're watching it, you have your Xbox controller or whatever right there in your lap. And so it's kind of like this widescreen kind of a movie, right? And as you're watching the movie, your controller, like if you're holding your controller will start rumbling a little bit, and then it will lift up and it'll give you two choices. And all you got to do is either go to the left or the right. You just make this choice or that choice. There's just two choices. And based on those two choices, it moves forward. So it's kind of like a choose your own adventure kind of a deal. And it's interesting to see this because, you know, have you guys tried Amaze 3D? I've talked about Amaze 3D a million times, and I'm usually talking about these girls that are dancing around in bikinis like inches away from you, and that's great and everything. But you know what? Amaze 3D, it does have this stuff that is kind of like choose your own adventure, and it's in VR and it's first person. Now, a lot of it is kind of like a dating simulator almost, and it's like trying to score with this girl. Are you going to end up in the hot tub with her, or are you going to get kicked out of her house where she's pissed off and she slaps you in your face? That's pretty much the gist of it. They also have like a murder mystery and some other stuff like that, but it is kind of choose your own adventure, and that's kind of how Bandersnatch is. And those of us that were around way back in the Sega CD era and full motion video and Night Trap and Ground Zero Texas and Sewer Shark and all of that, we remember that. We remember it was kind of choose your own adventure back then, and we finally made it to this future where that can be done effortlessly and it's not a big deal, and that's kind of what Bandersnatch is. So yeah, you guys should definitely try Bandersnatch. And Charles Van Nolan says, oh yeah, that VR game where you're at a party trying to hook up and dudes get mad and beat you down. Yeah, I don't know if I tried that one. I tried one where some guy is wearing like a, I don't know, he was wearing like a President Clinton mask. I think you guys know which one I'm talking about. It's very similar to Prawn, so you got to be careful there. But I did try that one. But Amaze 3D does also have a murder mystery that was kind of cool. I wish the acting was a million times better. The acting leaves a lot to be desired. That's where Bandersnatch has a lot better acting as far as that goes. Okay, what else can we do here? Yeah, this is definitely a Sunday fun day. We are kind of just going with the flow here. We're 38 minutes in. It's kind of amazing. We've made it to the 38-minute mark without really anything to talk about. So let's go ahead. I'll go back to our web browser window. We can take a little bit of a look here at some of these subreddits. Okay, so this is the Vibe subreddit. Whoops, let me get back to the front. Okay, so yeah, we were talking about this Marc Andreessen thing. Let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit more. You know, a lot of people are getting their Pimaxes right about now. So that's going to be interesting. Hopefully Steve Bishop of VR Roundtable fame, he's trying to get his hands on a Pimax too. And it'll be very interesting to have somebody like him get a Pimax. And, you know, because, I mean, we've got, of course, Sweeviver and Sebastian and Voodoo DE and all these guys. They've had Pimaxes for so long. But I'm kind of interested when, like, our regular Joe types get them and what their impressions are. I'm going to be super curious to see what Steve's opinions are of his Pimax when he finally gets his hands on that. Continuing to scroll down here, checking, seeing what's going on here. Okay, not much is popping off. Okay, let me go over to the Oculus subreddit. Let's see what people are talking about over there. Let's take a quick look at the Oculus subreddit. Okay, so we got a video, 20 upcoming VR games in 2019. Is this Cass and Chari? Like, Cassie? I think that's Cass and Chari, so that might be their video. Cass and Cherry. I think Cherry is how you properly pronounce it. My bad. But they have a new video with 20 upcoming VR games in 2019. I should probably check that out later and see if there's anything that I didn't already know about. Oculus Rift is sold out at Amazon. Strong demand. And did we ever get any kind of confirmation, anybody, about this $349.99 price? Like, is that the new price? Like, I still don't know about that. I'm sure eventually we'll get, like, I guess we'll probably have to wait for like Monday and Tuesday, and maybe we'll get some information on that. This is kind of funny. This is how silly Linus and other VR doubters will look 10 years from now. Clifford Stoll on why the internet will fail. And I'm sure there's videos or stories out there about why HD TV is going to fail, why we don't need DVD at all, why we don't need Blu-ray, blah, blah, blah. And Blu-ray will never take over. People don't care about Blu-ray. It's all about streaming. You know, all of the, like, there's stories like this all the time, but people forget about it. 10 years later, everybody forgets about it. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. I'm scrolling down, seeing what else is going on here. There's our VR Roundtable episode. Yeah, VR Roundtable, baby. You guys can well, no, I can't tell anybody to upvote anything. That is against the rules of Reddit. Okay, let's go to the PSVR subreddit and see if anything's popping off over there. PSVR. Okay, we're over here on the PSVR subreddit. Let me just give this a quick fresh update real quick. I love watching my wife play Beat Saber as much as she loves playing it. Do you guys remember the early days in VR where everybody was putting their girlfriends into VR, and it really helped if their girlfriends were, you know, moderately attractive, and those videos were like really popular for a brief minute? I don't know if that stuff is still going on. Like, I think it's kind of lost its novelty factor. But there was a time when everybody had their wife and girlfriend in VR, and that was a thing for a minute. Don't want to be too sexist, though, so I probably should get off that topic. Let's see. Just realized each Wipeout car has their own voice. I never knew that. Wipeout or Thumper? Like, that should not be a question. Wipeout all day and twice on Sunday. Thumper's not a bad game, but Wipeout is just destroys it. Question Starchild. Starchild is still in existence. I'm still hoping for that baby. And so, yeah, you know, not much is going on over here on the PSVR subreddit. All right, well, we can, you know, one thing we can do, and this is fun, I do this myself personally sometimes, is just go over to Steam. Like, let's just go to Steam, let's click on virtual reality, and we can see what things have recently released. Okay, so Where Thoughts Go, Resolutions, this is free. Has anybody tried this? I mean, I definitely want to try this. This is like a demo for Where Thoughts Go. I think the regular version of Where Thoughts Go is about $10, and this is kind of like a free demo. I should try this. It's a demo. It looks pretty cool. Scrolling down to see if there's anything cool over here. You know, there's Battle Mage. Remember that one? Okay, so this game is kind of interesting right here. Warz Horde. Does anybody know about this? Warz Horde. Actually, what I should do here is, let me see. I'm going to go to YouTube. It's a popular website. And I'm going to see if I can find Warz Horde. Warz Horde. Bear with me here, folks. I'm going to see if we can find the Warz Horde trailer, and then maybe I can grab it real fast. If there is a trailer for Warz Horde. Yeah, okay, what's the developer's name of this? Warz. The developer's name is Warz. See, that's the problem, is these developers have these, like, like if I just do a Google search for Warz, I mean, I do a YouTube search for Warz, I'm not going to get anything out of this. Okay, Warz VR. Let me try that. Warz VR. Still not finding the trailer. Well, never mind that, folks. There's a 360 video for something, but we don't want to grab that. But anyway, so there's this game here. It's called Warz Horde. Came out of nowhere. I've never heard of it. It's going for 30 bucks. I mean, this is pretty aggressive if you come out of the blue and you're asking for 30 bones. I could grab the trailer right off of this Steam page, actually. I've done that before. So let me go ahead and grab the trailer right off of this Steam page. Although by the time I finally get it, the show will be long over. Okay. Let me go ahead and paste this in and add, and let's try to download. Okay, so now back to where I was here. So yeah, there's this game War Hordes. Don't know too much about it. Not a lot of reviews. It's going for 30 bucks. Graphically, it looks kind of impressive. Like I'm looking at some of these graphics and it looks mildly impressive here. Like that looks pretty cool right there. You know, kind of a little bit as Arizona Sunshine-ish. The zombies look kind of creepy. A little bit Contagion VR, but look at like that environment. Like that environment looks really dope right there. That looks kind of grayish and stuff. Looks like you're in some subways. You got a lot of different guns to work with here. What is the description on this game? Let me just read the standard description. Experience the ultimate VR horde with realistic weapon mechanics, top-notch graphics, and a thrilling gameplay. Featuring 3 different large maps. Choose from Subway, Old Village, or Train Factory. So you only get 3 maps. Featuring magic attacks. Choose from a variety of magic attacks and become the ultimate magician. I didn't think this was like a magician game. I thought it was like Shoot the Zombies game. About this game, experience the ultimate shooter zombie VR game full of action, thrill, and excitement. Warz Horde offers realistic weapon handling, realistic shooting and reloading. Choose from a variety of weapons as you battle through waves of zombies and monsters in the ultimate defense of mankind. Okay, let's see. Did we get the trailer yet? It's still downloading. Yeah, I don't know why my downloading is so low. I'm so slow on some of these trailers. Okay, so let's go back over to chat. Does anybody know anything about this Warz Hordes? Person, I never beat Job Simulator. Okay. Girls bouncing around never gets old. That's Muppet on Meds. And Phil Yarn says, if you need a good, cheap co-op multiplayer game, I'd say Zomday or Tea Time Golf. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been in Tea Time Golf. Hussein X says, I bought Where Thoughts Go a while ago. Yet to play it, though. I will get there soon. Currently playing Invisible Hours. 5 hours in. Dude, how could you be that... You've spent 5 hours in Invisible Hours? What the hell are you doing, man? It doesn't last that long. How impressed are you, Hussein X, about Invisible Hours? Isn't it kind of the future of storytelling? Like, I really feel like Invisible Hours, I call it location-based storytelling. And that's what I think we're going to be looking at in the future is, oh man, did you see that guy smash that person's head? That was not very nice. But location-based storytelling is you base a story around a location. You go to that location, you have multiple story threads that are all occurring simultaneously, and then you can kind of go around and do whatever you want to do, and you can check it out from all kinds of different angles, kind of similar to Bandersnatch. Bandersnatch is choose your own adventure, but Invisible Hours is like choose where you want to be as the story is unfolding. Like the story is unfolding all around you. I've always thought about that when it comes to Invisible Hours. I don't know how you spend 5 hours in it, though. Seems like it should pretty much be over by now. Main Fan says, why do you need to download trailers? Well, if I want them to be a good, high quality, and then put them in my trailer window the right way, that's why I need to download them. Let's see, has this thing finally downloaded yet? 38%. Like, dude, I don't know what is going on. I need to get it, because normally when I would download a trailer, I would put it into 4K video downloader, and bam, within like 2 minutes, I would have the trailer. Like, it would be pretty much nothing. But these trailers lately just not doing a very good job. So I'm up to 65%, guys. So we're really trying to wait for this Warz Horde trailer. Like, it's going to be super incredible, which it probably won't. Pretty Fly for a VR Guy says, we need Black Mirror episodes told like The Invisible Hours. Person says, I didn't like Tea Time. It was too bright, too sunny, too bright, too colorful. I like Tea Time Golf. I just have a problem with playing golf one-handed. And I talk about this every time. It's a broken record. Okay, it finally downloaded, guys. It finally downloaded. Hip, hip, hooray. Okay, let's switch over here to our standard scene. And let's go ahead and grab this trailer. Might be really low resolution, and it might not be sized right. So, yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and it looks... oh, man, it like downloaded like 3 different trailers. This is weird. Okay, let's try to open up one and see what happens. Okay, here's this. I'm going to switch to full screen. Or I'll do it with my little video window. So it looks like some teleporting, some weird monsters, dragons, all kinds of weird things going on in this game. Yeah, I don't know. These trailers are not doing a great job of showing what this game does. Like, dude, look at what's going on. You grabbed your grenade here. Okay, there's some magic. That looks like some of the magic that you're doing. Not too impressive. Let me try to grab... There's a number of different trailers. There's like 3 of them that automatically downloaded. Let's go to this other one. Okay, this is like a shooting range. So this is some kind of shooting range that is built into the game. They really like showing off the hands, don't they? Okay, we've seen a million different shooting ranges in VR. Okay, let's try the next trailer. It downloaded like 3 different trailers. This one is gameplay from the subway level, I think. Okay, let's go to this. Oops, wait. Oh, here's the subway. Okay, so they're going in. See, subway, village. You got game mode, normal. Can't really read what these other... Shotgun master. And I don't know what that medium one is saying. But it looks like they're going into the subway level. You get to choose your loadout. Oh, I guess you have a dragon. Like, the dragon is one of your homies. So maybe you can, like, use the dragon as a... as, like, a co-op automated AI assistant that helps you out. Graphically, like, just looking at the graphics in the background, graphically it looks kind of decent. Wave 5, so it's a wavy-ass wave shooter. The subway looks pretty cool. I mean, just purely on a graphical level, I think the subway looks kind of good. But yeah, not the greatest trailers in the world. Apologies for that. Okay, well, that is this game, Warz Horde. It's going for 30 bucks. We don't know much about it, but that is something that is new and is available on Steam. But yeah, every once in a while I like taking a look at some of these different games that just randomly come out. Sometimes there's some interesting stuff out there. Alrighty, guys. Well, we basically have made it very close to an hour. Person says, is that the subway from Onward? Like, they basically stole it. Conrad Lawrence says, 7 hours in Invisible Hours for me, and I haven't seen it all yet. Man, I wonder how long did I spend in Invisible Hours? It doesn't seem like maybe I did spend like 5 or 6 hours in Invisible Hours. I'm not sure. So anyway, that is that. Let's go ahead and head back over to our standard scene here. And let me go ahead and grab my outro logo. Alrighty, guys. Well, apologies for kind of the ending of this show. It kind of went off the rails a little bit there at the end. But you know what? I just kind of don't have much other stuff to talk about at this point. So we've kind of ran through our our available allotment of stuff to get into. So that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode of VR365. This, of course, has been episode 61 of our show. This is a Sunday Fun Day show. Make sure to check out the VR Roundtable episode today. If you happen to have missed that episode, there's a lot of good discussion in there. We talk about a lot of stuff in terms of what we're looking for in the year 2019, the big headsets we're hoping might arrive, kind of what all the different big companies might be doing in the year 2019, what is going on with Valve, what's going on with the Knuckles, what's going on with HTC, how is the Oculus Quest going to do, what are some of the biggest games we're excited for. We talked a lot about that in today's episode of VR Roundtable, so make sure you go ahead and check that out. But that's going to go ahead and do it for this particular episode. I will be back Monday, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Hopefully some actual news. Monday is January 7th. We're going to be getting very close to the CES show, which really kicks off on Tuesday. But there might be some news stories that start to leak out as we get closer and closer to CES. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully a lot of exciting stuff is going to pop off next week. We definitely are looking forward to all of that. I will see you guys then. Take it easy. Have a good one. Later.